famous atheist and scientist Richard Dawkins wrote some 10 years ago a book called The God Delusion that quickly became a bestseller around the world. The book presents many arguments against the existence of God, which I don't intend to respond to all of them tonight. There's many books that were written as a response to that one book, and there's two especially for those who want to know more that I would recommend. One is called Is God a Delusion? By Nicky Campbell. And then the second one, The Dawkins Delusion. Good comeback from that book. But at the heart of the book, Dawkins has to answer the question about religion. How do we explain that phenomenon? And the conclusion that he comes to is that human beings, in search for meaning, create for themselves something to believe. Faith, in other words, is just our own desire to give meaning to our goals in life, our desire to give meaning or a higher purpose to everything that we do in life. And so we come up with this that we call faith. So the author makes the strong phrase, when one person suffers from delusion, it is called insanity. When many people suffer from delusion, it's called religion. From there, the name of the book. I think it's only a provocative phrase to make us think. A feast like today's, the Feast of the Most Holy Trinity, has something to say to this argument. Our faith is full of mystery. And mystery is not something that is obscure or hidden, but something that has too much light for our eyes to bear. We don't comprehend fully everything that we believe. We accept that there are things that go beyond our understanding. Our faith is reasonable, but not rational, in the sense that we didn't make it up with our own reason. We haven't come up with it with our own minds. And mysteries in our faith attest to that. We could say that we didn't choose to believe in the Holy Trinity. It was divinely revealed to us. We haven't reached God, but God has reached us and told us who He is. The mystery of the Most Holy Trinity is the central mystery of our faith. From this mystery, all other mysteries in our faith receive their light. And I think it is the main and most profound revelation of God that we have. God has revealed Himself most profoundly as Trinity, as a Trinitarian God. We can say that God is who He shows to be. God is in the way He acts. He doesn't deceive us. So if we look at the Scriptures and the history of salvation and everything that God has done for us, that's who He is, that's His nature. So from the moment of creation and passing through the prophets and patriarchs, Moses, whom we read about today in the first reading, all the way to the Incarnation and the New Testament, God has revealed Himself as one true God, but three divine persons that love each other, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We could say that God is one, but He is not lonely. He is full of that self-giving love. And I'd like to add something more to that truth today. God has revealed Himself to us as Trinity, not only so that we can know more about Him, which is the first purpose of his revelation, that we may get to know him as he is. But I think that he also revealed himself as Trinity so that we can live out that truth in our own lives, so that he may come into us, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, and live those relationships of love among us, that we may live a new life. There is in us humans what I would call a law of gravity. That law of gravity in us is isolation, lowliness, selfishness. When we are left to our own nature, to our own desires, we tend to enclose ourselves, to be wrapped in, to isolate ourselves, to distance ourselves from others. And God, who is one and three persons, wants to come into us and open us up to others. God is community, and a community where love is the center. Each of the persons of the Trinity desires the honor of the other persons in the Trinity. It's not like when we have a problem in our community or our families, we tend to blame each other and to think of the faults of others before we think of ours. I remember I grew up in a family of 5, my parents and 3 children. And when we would go on vacations or road trips, and we were little, and we started fighting about anything when we get bored. And my mom, she used to be a school principal, so she was pretty severe. I think I still have the nail marks on my arm when she would turn around and reach us. And I remember how we would start blaming the other one. No, she started, he started, and we were pointing fingers to the other. God is the exact opposite. They point fingers, but to give the honor to the other person. The Father gives the honor to the Son, and the Son to the Father, and both to the Spirit. They come out of themselves to give honor and love to the other. The first Christians lived in communities, and that was very important for them in a world that didn't abide by the same values that they had, the values of the Gospels, the ones that Jesus taught them. They had to come together and live in communities. They started in those communities reflecting the life of the Trinity to others. Those communities would show them that it was possible to live in a different way. It was possible to live differently. And they were also communities that would set the standard for the world. They became light in the world, in a world that abode by other values. Here's again a description of what those communities were from our second reading today. St. Paul in that second reading says to the Corinthians, "Rejoice, mend your ways, encourage one another, agree with one another, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you." Even though the language is imperative, St. Paul is talking about what would happen in communities. A community helps you to rejoice, to have more reasons for rejoicing than just our own. A community helps us to mend our ways. A community challenges us. Of course, it is harder to be part of a community, to commit to that, to enter into a community of people who live by these values, because they will challenge you. But it will help you more than isolating yourself. They were agreeing with others. A community helps you do that, helps you find peace, helps you find the presence of God. So I'd like to propose to you three things on this Sunday. First one that you can do here, today, tonight, and the second two for us as a homework. The first one is to give meaning once again to that sign of peace that we'll give each other today. Paul, in that second reading that we just read, says, greet one another with the kiss of peace. Well, we won't be kissing at each other, but when we extend that handshake to the other person next to us, give thanks to God today for people around us that help us in our community to know that it is possible to live the values of the gospel, especially if you know those who are around you, or if those whom you love and are part of your Christian community are not right next to you. Thank for them in the person that you greet right next to you. The following two are as a homework. The first one, or second thing that we could do in this week, I invite you to say good things about others, especially when they are not there with us. Many times we would think of ourselves and be too enclosed in ourselves. Many times when other people are not present, we tend to talk, behind their backs. My invitation is that we may imitate the Trinity today. Imitate the Trinity by speaking highly about others. Jesus would speak highly about the Father, and the Father did so about the Son. And Jesus got to the point of saying, it is better for you that I go, so that the Holy Spirit may come. It would be very hard to imagine the opposite. No? Imagine that in the baptism of the Lord, the voice of God, the Father, was heard towards the Son. But instead of what we hear in the Gospels that is written, the Father would say, this is just my Son. Don't listen to him. Listen to me. No. He would speak highly about his Son. This is my beloved Son. Listen to him. So my second invitation is that we can speak good things about others, tell good things of our people, count their blessings, count their virtues, their talents to others. And in the third place, that we may stay connected with people who help us live a Christian life through the summer. As we go on to our summer vacation, and some of you moving on in your life if you are graduating this year, that we may stay connected with other people who help us in friendship live our Christian life through the summer, through phone and other media, that we may stay connected so that we can encourage one another. God is not a delusion that we come up with, but an undeserved gift. Faith comes from heaven, and so there's mystery involved because our minds are limited. But God decided to reveal himself to us, that we may reveal him to the world in the way we love one another in our communities.